As Coach gets settled in, we'll start with questions. We'll start with Paul here to Coach's left. Then we'll go to Benjamin.
Coach, obviously their three-point shooting was one of the main stories of the game. What did you see? I asked both players the same thing, but what did you see from them out top as far as obviously some of them were good looks, some of them were tough shots, but what did you see them doing to get so many open looks?
Well, they're a very explosive offensive basketball team, and one of the things that, and most nights they do really well is make threes. They've got a lot of weapons with that, and certainly we had some breakdowns, and like you mentioned, they made some tough ones as well. And I thought the biggest difference that way was Jackson Robinson, just really got it going, and it was almost like he knew every shot he was going to take, went in. He was in one of those zones. And then I thought, the MVP was Almanor. I thought he made some timely threes and some big shots when they really needed it. And then certainly Garrison, knocked one in as well. But, our three-point shooting defense has been an issue for us. But we had shorted up a little bit in the last few games, but it definitely bit us a little bit tonight.
Actually wanted to ask about the three-point shooting on the other end. You guys attempted 40 of them. Previous season high was 32. Was that just sort of what the Kentucky defense was giving you, or was that sort of the game plan after falling behind, or behind that?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of a bunch of things. We don't have a number. We're not trying to get to a number or a percentage of our shots from three. We, kind of play the game out and take what the defense gives you. Certainly, we shot more in the second half, and maybe some of them were, trying to figure out a way to win in the end. But I thought early in the game we were a little uncharacteristic of this team. Like, we've talked in here a lot about how unselfish our team is and how we share the basketball and how we work together offensively, and I just was a little surprised by some of our shots that we took, and none of them were like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? But they just were like almost like they were surprised they were open, so I should shoot it. And I thought we had multiple guys take some shots that were like, we don't need that. Like, if I remember correctly, I thought we got into the shot clock one time, and that was the last shot of the half when Josh got the and one. But before that, I bet there were at least 5 or 6 shots in the first half where it looked like it was shot clock time. Instead of, doing what we've been doing with running offense and creating advantages for each other and sharing the basketball and trying to get paint touches. And, we had 3 assists at halftime. That's a pretty good sign of not playing the style of basketball that we had been playing.
Go back to the cameras. Go ahead.
Coach, your depth was tested with Riley Kugel's injury, Josh Hubbard foul trouble, but you guys consistently stayed in the game. How do you think all those guys stepped up to, keep the game close the entire way through?
Yeah, that happens in basketball games. We definitely had some issues to work through. We had some adversity with that, with Riley, getting hurt with the fall, and then got word that he was going to give it a go after halftime, and then he gets out there and looks good, and bangs the 3 in the corner with his fingers taped on his right hand, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And all the people that have been watching us, he gets in those modes sometimes, and he can get it going, and then he had some ankle injury that I haven't even gotten the update on, that he was out for the rest of the night. So that wasn't ideal. And then certainly Josh, getting into foul trouble is always a problem when it happens. It fortunately doesn't happen that often, but it does. I thought, the biggest thing was just Cam Matthews. I'm just disappointed that, he emptied his tank. He always plays hard, but tonight was a little bit different. I thought he was all over the floor. He had a huge impact on the game, and it just would have been so nice if it obviously would have been, in a winning effort.
We'll go back to Mitch, back in the third row. We're on the right side, Coach.
Coach, last week I asked you about the mental makeup of the team after the win over South Carolina. Obviously, tough loss tonight, but looking ahead to Auburn on Tuesday night, Ole Miss on Saturday, talk about how that short-term memory is so important for your team looking ahead to the rest of the SEC slate, especially Auburn on Tuesday night.
Yeah, you just don't get very long to, mourn, if you will. That's just not how it's going to work. It certainly doesn't work that way in most seasons. And I have no worries that these kids will be ready to go tomorrow afternoon and have to move on and learn and grow and get their minds around, Auburn, obviously, who's next. And as a staff, we'll do the same, but short-term memories are what, basketball players need. Even in more minuscule with missing a shot, you got to be able to, get to the next shot and erase it, or making a mistake defensively. You got to get to the next play, and certainly you got to get to the next game. And I'm pretty confident that, come Tuesday night, whenever we tip, that they'll be ready to go.
Go to Sam, front row right.
Yeah, you touched on it a little bit earlier with the shot selection, and particularly with Josh, and not just tonight, but some of the season where he's doing the really deep three-pointers and step backs and things like that. Are you comfortable with him, continuing to do that, or do you almost want to see him tone it down a little bit now that you have some other capable scorers on this team, unlike maybe last season?
I mean, shot selection is very fluid, throughout games in the course of seasons, and I've got unbelievable confidence in Josh, and I'm sure the rest of our, team does too. And he's proven, over the course of a year and a half that he's a prolific scorer, and he shoots shots that sometimes wouldn't be a great shot for someone else, just because of his stature and his power and his game. But like I said earlier, there were multiple guys that took some shots in the first half that, I thought weren't appropriate at the time, considering we felt like if we moved it and shared it and attacked the paint that, our offense would be just fine in most possessions tonight. So, he was one of those guys, that had a couple in the first half that I thought we could have got better ones.
We'll stay on the right with Jacob.
Coach, obviously tough loss, but your guys seem to respond to every Kentucky run with one of their own. I guess, what does it say about your team?
Yeah, I'm sure for the fans, until the buzzer went off, it was an exciting, game, and there was a lot of back and forth. And you mentioned some pretty major runs, which runs are always a big part of games when you're playing, good teams are playing against one another. But I never dreamt that we wouldn't show some resiliency and make a run, different times throughout the game. We certainly didn't lead for very much over the course of this game. They were in the lead the majority of it, and I thought they played really, really well. I really did. I mean, our hats off and kudos to their staff and players and team. I thought they competed at a high level and did what they had to do to get a road win.
Got time for a few more. We'll go to the front row here in the middle.
Coach, what's it going to take to be able to win games like these in the near future?
Well, we got to make sure, we understand that every shot's crucial. Every possession is crucial. And I have a lot of confidence in this group. I really believe in this group of guys that we have, and I think they believe in one another. And, they'll rally and learn and grow from the video. And we just got to understand that everything matters. Every possession matters. It's not, I'll get it back. A lot of players say that, I'll get it back. And you won't, or, you can't count on that. So I just think they need to understand that, there's going to be a lot of challenging games and opportunities, and you got to play your best.
We'll wrap it up here, second row left, and then with Danny P.
Coach, you mentioned that obviously there's not a long time to mourn after a loss like this. But whenever you have 21, 22-year-old guys that sometimes can be emotional after such a close loss, what is your message to them after such a big momentous kind of time?
Yeah, I just told them, that I thought Kentucky played well and that they did a lot of good things. Was proud of their toughness, their resiliency, their no-quit attitude. And like I've been telling them for a while now, we got what we need in this room to have an amazing season. But there's a lot of other teams in this league that feel the same way, that we do right now. And it's going to come down to, sticking to your style, and everyone has a little bit different style and who plays their style the best. But we've got awesome kids. They've been working their tail off, and we'll bounce back.
Coach, you mentioned the crowd, and they were in it from start to finish. Is that as crazy as you've seen the hump since you've been here?
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. When I drove up, I've never seen lines quite that long, an hour and a half before the game. That's what kind of the thing that stuck out the most was the amount of people that were waiting to get in the building, which was really cool. It was really, really cool to see that, and certainly appreciate, the folks for creating this environment for this particular game, and hopefully that will continue, as we go forward.
Thank you, guys. We'll see some of you Tuesday at Auburn.